This video is going to cover the Federal Register and parts of a regulation. We'll start with a little history and background. It was first published in March of 1936 because regulations were being adopted and overturned faster than the courts and legislators could keep up. Then in 1946, with the passage of the Administrative Procedure Act, the Federal Register was required to publish proposed regulations for public comment, and the scope of the Federal Register was expanded again by the Freedom of Information Act of 1966. It's published by the National Archives and Records Administration and is updated daily by 6 a.m. Monday through Friday, except federal holidays. It reports on the activities of the executive branch, with a new volume published each year. Each new volume begins on the first business day of the year with page 1 and is continually paginated from there until the last business day of the year. It begins with the table of contents arranged alphabetically by agency, and any agency activity appearing in an issue will be listed here. For each agency, the table of contents lists rules, proposed rules, and notices. Next, there's a list of CFR parts affected in this particular issue, and the Reader's Aid section at the back of each issue includes contact and customer service information and information about finding full text of the Federal Register and the CFR on the web. The cumulative monthly list for CFR parts affected will also be in this section, along with a monthly breakdown of page numbers per issue. So there are 4 kinds of documents included in the Federal Register: the rules and regulations, which will be codified in the CFR. Note that this is likely the only place that will include the preamble to the regulation along with the final rule. Proposed rules, where the public has an opportunity to review the proposed rules and to comment on the process before a final rule is made. Notices are documents relevant to the public, such as hearings and investigations, committee meetings, agency discussions, etc., and finally the presidential documents. So of these documents, we're going to focus on regulations and proposed regulations. A regulation is a detailed administrative order. It looks just like a statute. Often the terms regulation and rule are used interchangeably. In the Federal Register, you'll find information that is not present in the CFR, so it's important to know how to search documents in the Federal Register for this reason. The preamble will not appear in the CFR, and in almost every case, the Federal Register will be the only place to find this information alongside the text of the final rule. So you have the title, agency and department responsible, what kind of action it is. There's a summary, which is a little more in-depth discussion of the proposed requirements. It may include some rationale and interpretations. The contact information. This is someone to contact specifically about this rule. Note that if you're going into an area of law that is subject to agency regulation, it doesn't hurt to have contact with people within the agency. Remember, these people are experts in their field and can be a valuable source of information. Sometimes there will be a table of contents in outline form. You have the authority and the background, the legislation that says, yes, this agency has authority to make a rule such as this. Some will include some kind of visual aid to convey useful information like tables, graphs, or figures. And agencies have to consider alternatives and explain why a new rule or modification of an existing rule is necessary. They must also perform a cost-benefit analysis per various acts and executive orders. And next there's a list of subjects that are found in the particular CFR that will be affected by this rule. And finally we have the actual text or the amended text of the rule. So I'm going to find a regulation, and I'm going to start with an agency website. So according to the Electronic Freedom of Information Act amendments of 1996 and the E-Government Act of 2002, agency websites are required to make certain information publicly available. But there's no standard for how the information is supposed to be presented, so I'd like for you to be aware of a few things should you find yourself looking for information someday on a federal agency's website. So I'm looking for a regulation concerning bicycle use and safety on national park lands. So first I'm at the National Park Service website at nps.gov, and I see right away that this site is intended to easily provide information about accessing the parks themselves, so this is probably something the public uses quite a bit. and the location of the information I'm actually looking for about the regulations may not be quite so obvious. So not all agencies will have a link that actually says regulations. So if you aren't sure where to start, look for an About or About Us link. This is a good place to find information such as the agency's mission, structure, contact information, and this is some of the information that agencies are required to provide. And over on the left, here's a link for laws and policies. And in the text, I see a link for regulations. And here's a list of National Park Service regulations. So I'm just going to skim the list and see if I can find something that might fit what I'm looking for. So I see vehicles and traffic safety, and I'll see if that covers bicycles. And this is going to redirect us. May take a second. Okay, this takes us to the ECFR, and we'll discuss the CFR more next time, but the ECFR is not an official publication. It's a handy resource, but you shouldn't cite it. And I see there is, in fact, a section on bicycles. So this regulation covers the use of bicycles and the making of new bike trails on park land, among other things. And if I scroll to the bottom, down here is the Federal Register citation. I'm going to go ahead and copy this page number while I'm here. And I'd like to consult an official copy of the register, so I'm going to open another tab and go to FedSys. So I have my citation. I want to retrieve by citation. I'm going to select the Federal Register. This was volume 77 from 2012, and I copied the page number. Okay, it may, if you have a pop-up blocker, you may have to manually open the document. So I'll just scroll through real quickly, but not too quickly, I hope, and point out some sections mentioned earlier. Remember, these are continuously paginated throughout the year, so that big number at the top of the page is in fact the page number. And you notice the Federal Register citations use the volume number and the page number. So I see the, here they start with the actual amended rule. So all of the preamble information goes all the way back up here, and there are several pages. This one actually has a lot of public comment, and the public comment section is where you can find the public comments and then the agency's response, and whether or not they incorporated public comment into the wording of the rule, or they'll explain why they felt the comment wasn't relevant to the issue at hand. We have it in print in the library at KF70.A2, and these copies go back to July of 2010. So see if you can find the Park Service regulation we just looked at. The citation is 77 FR 39937. Of course, the FR stands for Federal Register, 77 is your volume number, and 39,937 is your page number. Also, I'd like you to go ahead and take a look at 3 or 4 agency websites and try to find information about their regulations. Just make some quick comparisons with regard to the ease of use or accessibility. What I mean by accessibility is for the appearance of the website, was it easy for you to read? Was it arranged in a way that was sort of easy to see the information? Was the use of color okay? Really just anything that really sticks out that you noticed, if you liked it, or anything you disliked about it. How easy was it to find information about the regulations or about the agency itself? If you would like a list of federal agencies, this link will take you there.